Hey, Build Show. It's the Basic Architect. Yeah. Right from the top of the trailer. Yeah, what are we talking about today? We are talking about prefabricated basement systems, better known as superior walls. So, these got made down in Pennsylvania. This is the first trailer of probably about a half dozen that are going to make their way up here. We still have about a week or so, week and a half. They wanted to get some of these out of the factory, so they'll ship them up. We'll stage the trailers here. We're fortunate that the site, we have the ability to park these out there. But as you can see here, we have prefabricated foundation systems. So, like I said, Superior Walls, you can go check them out, superiorwalls.com. But basically, they're a prefab wall. Why would I want to use it? Well, there's some reasons about hydrology that you might have seen in some of the previous videos, but also more importantly is this whole foundation system is going to get erected in about 3 days. So there's a whole bunch of off-site work that can happen in parallel with on-site work, meaning plumbing, stone prep, all of that stuff can happen in parallel, and then the walls get dropped on top of that system. In about 3 days, we'll have that erected. But beyond that, you get some benefits of, we're using a lot less concrete. You can see here the wall system is roughly right just under 7 inches in the concrete, but it's a concrete rib system that gets filled with insulation, and then we have an additional 3 inches or so down the bottom, so the full width size of the wall that's actually sitting down on the stone footing down there is 10 inches. That's what the load is basically spreading there. And like I said, you can see insulation. They also have metal studs for drywall here, and those are filled in with EPS here. But one of the other things that's pretty interesting about this system is that they will actually put the butts in and set it up for the window size here. So they have the whole window frame here, header and all, already pre-made and cut into the system. So when this gets dropped in, we don't have to worry about that. All of that stuff has been verified. You can see here again, we're talking right around 10 inches for the overall system. It actually has a pretty nice textured finish on the outside. You don't get that whole series of tie holes and such. But the other thing about this system is, I don't want to misspeak, but we're at 10 foot exactly. So we have a 10-foot foundation wall system that we would probably pay a premium for if we were going to form that out on the job site. So for Superior Walls, it's one of the standard practices and standard sizes there to go out and do those 10-foot walls. And like I said, we have that texture. The other thing about Superior Walls is they use a concrete that's almost twice the strength of your standard foundation wall. And when you increase the strength, you increase the ratio of the Portland cement. And when you do that, you actually make the wall panels more water resistant, right? Damn near waterproof. I'm always hesitant to say waterproof, but definitely more water resistant. So you're not going to get that migration of water through the system there. And you can see down here, we have a bunch of our frost walls. I'm going to jump down, we'll take a walk around the trailer, but we have our frost walls down there. They actually have a pretty unique setup. You can see here, they have their plates that are the reverse angle of the A-frame here so that they can ship these panels out onto the site and then basically unstrap them and lift them. So when we take a walk up to the front of the trailer, I'll meet you over there and we'll talk a little bit more about those frost walls. We jump down off the trailer. You can see here, there's not a lot to see, but you can see they create steps. These are all insulated wall systems here. You can see a bunch of the concrete has been evacuated here, and you know, these are simply going to get bolted together. You can see they make provisions here for where those bolts will go and how these things get connected. And then up front here, you can see they have some precast footings that they had made that they'll send out, and then we'll cast the slab around those systems. But also notice here, we have mitered corners. They're not butted corners. So those will get bolted together nice and true. So anyways, let's jump back to the studio. We'll pull out some of their literature, and we'll talk a little bit more about superior walls. So I'll see you back at the studio. All right, everybody. So, yeah. See how I just leaped right up on that trailer? Yeah, you ain't kidding. The things I do to put videos out for you and bring you information. Put my life on the line every day on camera. So hopefully you appreciate it. Anyways, I grabbed some literature here. Why don't we thumb through it? Got big red. Can highlight some thoughts, talk about it, and we'll go from there. So let's get after it. All right. So I know it's a pretty picture, and you're saying, hey, Steve, how did you get that superior wall logo in that rendering there? Well, that's because I didn't do this drawing. Yes, I have to disclose. This is a superior wall drawing. All right. And I just took it off their website. So if you want to go see the real thing, go check it out. It's on their website, but it was a pretty descriptive illustration of what's going on with that wall system. So it's really an interesting system, and I'll disclose that I used superior walls one other time in my career, and I can't see me not using them here in the near future. It was a really good system, I thought. But yeah, like probably 1999, 98, something like that. It was in just before the Y2K plunge. We used these up in Michigan in a building science demonstration project. But anyways, let's take a look at these because they are pretty slick, right? You have a 10-inch wall, but that's what the base is. But look at what it does. It goes up, and then it comes out and goes in. So it's a giant concrete C-channel, right? I mean, effectively. And the beauty of, engineering and doing things off-site like this is you can literally put material where you need it and exclude it from where you don't need it, like in the middle of this cavity, right? You have just a series of ribs. So when you look at this, it's a concrete exterior wall that basically has some thickened plate material here, right? I mean, this is very similar to what's happening above grade with a wood wall. And then you have some type of sheathing. In this case here, all those pieces are concrete, but you can see the reinforcing there and the reinforcing coming out there. So these are two little plate beams, if you will. Right? And then we have our sheathing. Well, that sheathing is going to want to bend in, right? This is going to want to come in like this and come in like that and bend in the middle. So what do? They create this counterford. I think it's called counterford. C-O-U, like countertop, counterford. And these you find in the civil engineering world. They're highly used in like highway retaining walls and such. But by building these counterford, which are essentially just ribs, right? Those ribs provide that lateral resistance, so we don't get bending there. They basically stiffen up the center of the panel, but because we're putting these, you know, on that typical spacing, that leaves us with some cavity here that we can further insulate if we want to. And not only that, but that cavity allows us to provide service. What do I mean by service? Well, you can see the holes here, right? And you saw those, we actually have double holes there, but if you wanted to string a wire across your wall, you have a high hole and a low hole to do that. And these panels, these are insulated to R21. So you are already meeting code by virtue of putting these in, and now these all get faced with a metal stud, so we can easily attach drywall to the wall here and put that up. And if you wanted to, you could fill that cavity. It's probably on the order of I don't know, maybe about 5 inches or so, but we could probably get another R20-ish in that wall if you wanted to. So in areas where, you know, we're well above grade, we can get this wall up to, say, an R40 wall there, which would, you know, be very, very good for a foundation wall. Also notice, if you watch that foundation prep, there is no footing. This just sits down on that leveling bed of stone, and then you pour the slab in here, and the slab is basically the reaction to the wall wanting to kick in. So that's not going to happen because the slab is keeping that at bay. And the one thing that we're going to do that's different is we're going to add 4 inches of rigid insulation under here and insulate that slab. But that slab will be up. They have a requirement that it's at that plate line of that bottom plate beam, and for a good reason. That's how we structurally keep the bottom of those walls from kicking in and moving in by having that insulation there. So anyways, it's a pretty cool system. I'll grab this too. This is also a drawing out of the shop drawings that they sent us, but you get a little bit of a sense of things to scale. So there's your 10-foot wall right there, and you can see there's the insulation. This is the concrete area here. This is that plate beam. You have our reinforcing there. They actually provide these metal hooks that come in, and then you can hook that first rebar there that helps tie that slab to that bottom plate and make that connection. I grabbed this one off the shop drawings because this wasn't the standard wall. This is the one where we actually, this is a workshop, and this is under the garage here. So what happens here, you can see there's a haunch here that is made in the wall, and the wall thickness, you know, is out here, but this piece is carved out, and the reason for that is we have this 10-inch concrete plank that's going to come in here, and it needs something to sit on. So that haunch, again, you know, it is the reaction to the load that that plank and car is imposing, and so that holds that up, and then it's pretty much standard superior wall from this point down. It's the 10xi wall, and you can see it sits on a bed of stone here, and then some type of drainage pipe, perimeter drain. The only difference, like I said, we are going to add some rigid insulation underneath our slab here, but all we care about is that that slab is there to resist this wall wanting to kick in, and so it's going to react at that situation and keep the wall nice and straight. So, and we also have, some places in here where we have, they have these little inserts where you can screw in this threaded rod, and that threaded rod goes out here, and then it'll get lapped by the threaded rod, and then we'll pour a topper slab here that will go from 3 inches up to 6 inches in thickness there. But that's what's happening underneath the workshop. And remember, this is already pre-insulated to R21, so we're meeting code for basement spaces by virtue of using Superior Walls. So anyways, go check them out. Right, company is Superior Walls, and I believe they service the entire country. I know my good friend Will King has used them down in Alabama. So, but yeah, go check it out. Superior Walls. Panels are there. Guess what's up next? You got it. Those panels are going to be going down, and we're going to be putting a foundation together just like it was some kind of puzzle. So I tell everybody, these days I still play with Legos. Just my Legos are a little bigger and a little more expensive. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. Yeah, if you're still looking for more, Build Show Network, go check it out. I got literally hundreds of videos there. I got a couple Build Original series, the Hilltop Arrow House I did with Jake under the Originals tab, and currently midway through, we're at Build Show Build Boston there too, where we have a local build here where I'm documenting the whole build. So go check it out. If you're still looking for more, Steve Basic Architect, yeah, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, we're all around. And lastly, the Unbuild It podcast. Yeah, Peter Yost, Jake Bruton, myself, 3 amigos, teaming up, talking everything building. So it's getting a lot of attention. So tell all your friends, listen to it on your way to work. And if you want to watch it, we're on YouTube there too. So you can catch the behind the scenes action. So until next time, long live our building.